Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Suzanne Roberts, and I'm a counsellor with the Macular Society. And today I'm going to give you an overview of the telephone counselling service and common themes linked to sight loss. Then I will introduce Nicola, who has in the past used our counselling service and has agreed to speak to us about living with myopic macular disease. So every year, the counselling service supports over 600 people, often at the point of diagnosis or where there has been a significant change in vision. And you might find it helpful talking to a counsellor as opposed to a friend or family, as we can offer an impartial perspective. Our counselling team consists of 8 professional counsellors who have extensive experience in the field of sight loss, and our counselling manager is Carly Johnson. Now, the right criteria for the service is that you or someone that you support has the macular condition. You must be 18 plus and based in the UK, and the reason for your referral must be linked to sight loss. The service is provided free and it is confidential. To make a referral, you can do this either online via our website or by telephoning our helpline. Once the referral is received, you will be offered a telephone counselling assessment, and this is generally within 10 days. And it will allow you to talk things through, decide what the priority is for you right now. Is it counselling? Is it another service? Or do you feel you've got what you needed from the assessment session? If the plan is for counselling, you will be offered up to 6 sessions and a maximum of 12 sessions in any 12-month period. Now, when someone is diagnosed with macular disease, often a lot of the attention and support is linked to practicalities and about maximising your vision. But we know that when a diagnosis of macular disease is made, even at the very early stage where perhaps there's little or no change to the vision, it can often leave someone feeling that their world has been turned upside down. How often are you asked how you feel or how you are coping when you're at an eye appointment? More often than not, the appointments feel rushed, leaving no time for anything other than perhaps treatment or a quick review. And this is where the counselling service can be of use to you, supporting you through the times where maybe you think there is no hope, or you just don't know which way to turn. Perhaps you just need space and time to talk things through. We will listen, help you develop new coping strategies, and share what we know about other services that you might not be aware of, visual aids and technology that could make a real difference to your life. Within the counselling service, we come across common themes, and I'm going to just run through a number of them with you. So, shock and disbelief. Perhaps you'd never heard of macular disease. Perhaps you thought that you were going to be given new glasses. A fear of going blind, and even the word blind itself can be very frightening. Not wanting to be a burden. Fearful and feeling anxious around not knowing. And generally, in order to feel a sense of control, we want information or perhaps some guarantee or a timeline. But more often than not, with sight loss, this isn't possible, and it can create a lot of anxiety dealing with the unknown. Feeling overwhelmed, feeling frustrated, feeling a loss of identity. Who am I now? And these thoughts and feelings may come and go, and they are perfectly normal. So how do you cope with all of what might be going on in your head, plus the practical challenges? So here are some tips and techniques that I've found to be helpful to others over the years. Try not to be so hard on yourself. Ask yourself, how would you treat or respond to a friend in the same situation? Generally, we are a lot kinder. There's always something you can do, because quite often people will say, well, I've got this diagnosis and there's nothing I can do. But even things such as eating a healthy diet, Exercising, getting out, connecting with others, not smoking, and protecting your eyes from sun means that you are doing something. Try to slow your mind down and stay in the here and now. So if you find your mind racing to what's going to happen in 5 years or all of the what ifs, bring yourself back to today and try and delay the worry and focus on what you do know. Ask yourself, are my thoughts factual or is this just my opinion? When we're feeling low or feeling anxious, we tend to think that our thoughts are factual, but often they're not. So try and challenge your thinking. Ask your GP or optician for a referral to your local low vision clinic, as here you should be able to try out lots of different visual aids and experiment with lighting and angle poised lamps at home. Lighting can make a huge difference in terms of what we can and can't see. And if you feel the need to Google your diagnosis, make sure you stick to the trusted websites. There's lots of helpful information out there, but remember it's generalized and not given to you by somebody actually looking at your eyes. Not everything you read will be appropriate to your condition, as it's about you and you are unique. And lastly, speak to your GP if you have feelings of anxiety or low mood that is having an impact on you day to day and is not shifting. So thank you for listening. And I'd now like to go on to the second part of this talk and to introduce Nicola to you. Hello, hi, Nicola. Thank you so much for joining us to share your experience. Thank you. I'd like to give everyone just a little bit of background. Nicola has myopic macular disease, and this is a condition that affects people with high myopia, otherwise known as severe nearsightedness. And I know that you experienced a slow deterioration of vision, and it wasn't until you were in your 60s that you had to stop driving. And that when we first spoke, your life at the time was very full and still is, with family, volunteering, arts and language classes. And I can recall from our initial conversation that you use words and phrases such as despair, and I always wanted to be like everyone else. So do you think you'd be able to kind of talk us through when you were first aware there was a problem with your eyes?
Well, I started actually wearing glasses from the age of 5, and then so I was already the only child in the class with glasses, as far as I can remember. I already felt different then. But the real problem started in my early 20s when I suffered retinal hemorrhages. It wasn't until my mid-30s that I was told that I had macular degeneration and what the implications were. I was told I wasn't going to go blind, but nevertheless, at that time, I could see quite well. But there was a significant change within a very short period of time. And it was very frightening. And obviously that I have the dry version of macular disease, and it has got progressively worse, I would say, over the ensuing 30 years. And I obviously have struggled with feelings of despair, of not fitting in, of anxiety, depression, or so on.
What was it that bothered you the most, do you think?
Gosh, I suppose I would say not fitting in, people not understanding why I couldn't do certain things. And indeed, because I have my own business, I was incredibly worried that if clients found out of my difficulties in vision, that they would stop sending any more work.
Okay, and I think you previously mentioned as well the kind of the not knowing what was going to happen with your eyes and Val.
This is,
What?
I'm sorry, that is a perennial problem that you go through periods of particularly around the time of any change, however large or small, that you think, oh my goodness, it's going to happen. It's going to happen again. I don't know what's going to happen. What will I lose next time? And it's the not knowing that is the hardest features in this problem. And I feel personally, that you almost have to block that out and carry on living now.
I think that's a really sort of big theme within the counselling service and referrals that come through to us is living with the not knowing. And things can be really difficult, I think, for most people. Did you come across any sort of good coping mechanisms to kind of get you through those difficult days and sort of adaptations that you've made over the years?
Well, obviously, I think we live in an age of technology, and that helps enormously with, for example, if I'm out and I want to view a timetable, I will take a photograph with my phone, then enlarge it. And if it's not the right section, I will repeat the exercise. But that's certainly one coping mechanism. I think you do have to slow everything down and be kind to yourself. I'm not sure I'm particularly good at that, but I think you do. I think it's better if you slow things down. Obviously, very good lighting in which help. We had our kitchen renovated in the last 18 months, and I made sure that there was lighting in all sorts of places, and lighting obviously gives, I hope, the equivalent as much as it can of daylight.
Brilliant. And what about sort of frustration? Because so many people that come through to us at the counselling service will also talk about sheer frustration. And before they got to the stage of sort of working out how, taking photos of things and being able to enlarge them, etc. Did you or do you have days where you feel frustrated?
Oh yes, definitely. It's a perennial issue, I would say. Frustration. I mean, obviously, I used to enjoy doing tapestry, and that, however, I've tried with additional lighting, etc. It's not an avenue that is open to me any longer. Yes, you would get terribly frustrated, and I don't know what the answer is to that, save that you have, it's one of the factors you have to deal with and live with.
I suppose there will be some tasks or hobbies that are sort of worth the frustration and that you can get by and you can do. And there'll be others that, as you say, that you may think this is just too much or it's not possible, it's not doable.
I think that's right. I think there's a lot of need to be accepting of what you can and what you can't do. But what's most important is to concentrate on what you can do. Because ruminating on what you can't do gets you nowhere. You have to do what you can do. And I used to love playing tennis. Well, I can't do that anymore, obviously. But I thought, so I bought a croquet set, and that's something I can do. And I really enjoy it. I mean, but it's enjoyable. Audio books, of course, are a huge help because, and enlarging typefaces on your computer,
ways around things. Was there anything that you thought I can't do, but actually you managed to prove yourself wrong, and you are doing or do?
Yes. I joined a life drawing class about 6 months ago, I think now. And I always thought I couldn't draw. I just didn't think I could draw at all. And I found out, whilst I'm not, I'm certainly no Picasso, but I can, with my easel closer, whilst I don't necessarily see the details that the other members of the class do, I can do a drawing that looks like somebody. So I'm
Yeah.
a huge. It gives me a huge buzz, actually.
Well done. And did you have to choose sort of the pencils or do anything differently in terms of what you were using or not?
Yes, I wouldn't use pencil unless I was literally next to the object I'm drawing. And with charcoal, I find that it's a great. It's obviously it's very dark. It gives great contrast on white paper, and it allows me to draw and shade, as well as I can.
That's excellent. And great that you're doing that. And I was going to add, I remember speaking to you and with your volunteering work and using the tills, and then the till system changed, didn't it? And I know you were really concerned about that, but that was something that you did manage to deal with. I wondered, could you just say a little bit about that?
Absolutely, that's a very good point. I had got used to a till system, and in fact, I struggled with that even so with a little bit, because obviously much depends for people like us. When you have black writing or a grey background, I mean that's virtually impossible. But if you have coloured lighting, especially bright lights like yellow or white, or particularly black on a white background, that's enormously helpful. And this till system changed, and of course, technology does improve, so the pixelation was much better. And actually, the setup is better for me, although I have to say it is a bit more complicated, but that's the design of the system, not I don't think it's
But your fear of change or would I be able to do it, it didn't actually stop you from going back into work. You still went back in and you said, I'll give it a go and I'll see what it's like. And actually, yes, you've managed it, which is brilliant, because it would be too easy to say, I'm not doing it, or I don't think I could do it. No, well done.
I had a great fear I wouldn't be able to manage. And prior to them actually going live, I was shown a sort of front page. That was all they could show me. And I thought, okay, I'll try. And then, of course, when it did go live, it was a bit different, seeing the other screens. But
That's the key thing.
I think I was lucky. I mean, as well.
But you also said, I'll try. So yes, that was very positive. How did you find sort of speaking to other people about your sight loss or mentioning it to other people?
Initially, I found it incredibly difficult because, and I hope other people can identify with it, you have your pride and it's very hard. And if that is in conjunction with wanting to fit in, it's a very hard obstacle to overcome. Having said that, as I've got to my 60s and other people are beginning to suffer other health problems, maybe not as serious, but it starts making you feel that there's a more level playing field. And I now do say to people, I can't see. Not always. I sometimes cover it, but generally speaking, I do now start saying, look, I have visual issues. Can you help? Therefore, I can't see what you're doing, or can you help me?
So more
Yeah,
comfortable.
it doesn't come easy, but
Yeah.
once it's there, it is there.
And then, lastly, in terms of counselling, how did you find sort of talking about it? How did that actually help? Because there'll be people thinking, well, what's the point in talking about it?
I think the counselling was enormously helpful, and I think because you're talking to people who understand that for example, you feel like you're looking through a fog, or that you just miss things, or you're very nervous about meeting other people or going into a room, particularly in a business circumstance where you've got to meet and greet other people. Um, the Macular Society counselling helped. Yes, I think they helped enormously because they understood the particular issues. And because obviously they didn't refer to specific people, but you felt that you weren't alone. And I think that's a huge factor, because with all these things, you feel you're the only one sometimes.
Definitely. And I think it's a great comfort, isn't it, to realise that you're not the only one, that others are going through something similar. And I think that's what many people listening to you today will be feeling, that they've got comfort from knowing that somebody else has gone through things that they've gone through or what they're experiencing now, and to know that it's normal, and to know that, there is a way through. So
I think that's right. And can I make one more point? If I may, not entirely in relation to this question, but if you have the facility to use your eccentric vision, that is what I do all the time, and it becomes automatic, and it is helpful.
So sort of maximizing the vision that you do have rather than focusing on what you can't see, practicing using that vision, the side vision, and trying to pick up on areas that are not damaged by the macular disease.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Nicola, for speaking to us. I'm sure you would have inspired so many people, and wonderful to be able to speak to you again. And I don't think we have anything else to add, but other than to say, I hope that everybody listening goes on to enjoy the rest of the conference and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you, Nicola.
You're welcome.